Okay. Now call to order the November 6th meeting of the Trails and Greenways Committee for Newtown Township. Start with roll call.
Anthony DiVincenzo,
Present.
Beth Dunchisha, John Custer.
Here.
Joe Falcone is absent. Mark Carp here. Joe Kosciuszko.
Here.
Evan Pappas.
Here. Okay, please ask everybody for a moment of silence. Everybody, please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item, 4.1, consider approving the agenda from today or for today's meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Agenda passes. Moving on to item 5, public comment for agenda items only, and we have a member of the public here today. Do you have any items, sir? Oh,
The trail walks on it. Okay.
if you wouldn't mind, please go to the podium. And if you give us your name and your street address. Yep.
Okay. I'm Doug Humes. I live at 100 First Avenue, the other First Avenue, the one that's in Broomall. And about 11, 12 years ago, John Custer got me, it's another thing he got me involved in here. And there are two guys in Haverford that were really good about developing trails, and they were reaching out, looking for people in Newtown and Marple who might be interested in working with them on trail issues, regional trails. And they found me and John, and so, and at the time, Marple only had one trail. It goes in a circle on Lawrence Road. And the Don Guanella tract was in play. And the Don Guanella tract has miles of trails inside it. It was the best known secret in Delaware County. And so I ended up creating just a Facebook group. It's called Friends of Marple Newtown Trails. And we've worked to publicize trail walks and trails and trail news about the region, and getting people out to with their pitchforks for the when they were developing or proposing to develop Don Guanella. So that's what it was meant for. I had agreed to do it until the right person came along, and it's 11 years later, and the right person came along.
We'll see.
I'm looking for. But it's just a Facebook group, but we promote the trails, and the hikes that Terry McCarthy runs. We co-promote things. We've joined together with her and other trail groups and done trail walks in Marple. And so it's just a Facebook group and used to publicize things. But we have about 500 members, and we post something, people have come out, so it's reaching people who like trails. So I'm not sure if there's any other.
Yeah, Doug, we would like, I'd like to bring this up to the group here, but what I was thinking is that we'd like to do a trail walk, together with you, and Terry and the whole group, and maybe have a meeting afterwards of people that are interested in forming a more formal Friends of Marple Newtown Trails, and just exploring that idea and see if it, has any legs. And really that's, just the starting point of discussion.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to try to definitely identify some of the volunteers, some of the people that come to a lot of the trail walks and people that we think could be motivated to help out more often. There was, kind of, Beth, you had brought it up years ago, of like trying to tap into some of the other volunteer groups and sharing amongst it. And so this is kind of another way. People that are always interested in the trails or
Yeah, we have some regulars that show up.
Yeah.
Almost all the time.
Yeah.
that's how we sucked Evan into this.
Yeah.
Are we looking for walks in Haverford Township?
I mean, one we discussed before was walking the Penzi Trail, but we don't have that on the schedule yet. What did we have on the?
We had,
schedule
so
for
we had
last
nothing,
month, or for this month?
yeah, we had nothing coming up here for November and December, right?
We do.
Oh, we
I
do?
thought Terry emailed a couple.
She did.
Yeah.
I just, jumping ahead, is it okay if we just get into the trails that are upcoming, or do you back up a little bit since it doesn't all Doug?
Yeah, this is just a minute. I would like to suggest a walk for Doug and the Barn,
Just what?
Doug and the Barn Girls. This was a barn that Doug and his misspent youth spent.
That's right. It's a quadrangle now. It's the old barn that's on Darby Road in the Big Dip. It belongs to Quadrangle, but when I was growing up, that was was still, mostly girls kept their horses there. John was attracted to, I live within walking distance of that growing up, and my two sisters had horses. They kept at that barn. So one day my mother said, Doug, go down and walk your sisters home from the barn. So I'm 14 years old at the time, I guess. And I go down to this barn and it is just crawling with 14-year-old cute girls. And I came back to my neighborhood and I told all my guy friends, we got to check this out. So we went down and, and over the next, we were all going steady within a few weeks and making out in the hayloft and, so I told that story to John and he suggested that we do a walk with the Barn Girls, and some of the I'm still friends with a lot of them. They were lifelong friends from that barn. Yeah, but there's a trail that connects the Creek in Haverford, goes back to, eventually to that barn on Darby Road. So it would actually be a good walk. Yeah.
All right, so, okay, so we got at least two that we're looking to do potentially. Did
So-
Terry identify any dates right
Yeah,
now? Okay, so
November
let's,
15th, there's a big there's some fellow. And she was saying holiday walk at the Grange, maybe Saturday. Has to do with work and.
the
apparently-
Grange,
Yeah. And then Garrett Williams seems to be wanting to do another hike. But
we'll be doing them every month now.
I don't know that they have one scheduled
No?
for December, but January, they're looking to schedule.
Okay. Okay. And then what do we call this other, where are we doing this one? On Haverford Trail?
Is it the?
With the,
Craig?
where is it at? Where's this one? What do we call it?
It starts from the Creek. And there are trails going in different directions from you know what the Creek is, the
Nope,
Haverford, oh,
I do not.
okay.
That's a nice walk there.
Yeah.
too.
It's the Haverford,
Oh, is it start at the rec center?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know what
Yeah, you
you're
know
saying.
that.
Oh, I've been there, yeah, okay. I haven't actually walked the trail though. I've just been there for the trail summit multiple times. But I haven't actually been on the trails ever, so that would be nice. All right, do we want to propose a date to splice that in right now of the group, at least something tentatively? Do we want to wait till January? Or do we want to try and do something,
I'd
'cause
love to do
Wisconsin-
something sooner, but.
I know.
If we've got these already scheduled, holidays, it's gonna be tough.
We could also use these other trail walks as an opportunity to recruit more for the joint one with Friends of Marple if we push that into January or something. That gives us a couple ones where we say, hey, listen, we're gonna do a different one we haven't been before. We're gonna do it with another group. So we can kind of use it as an opportunity there. What do you think? We're almost like recruitment. Okay, so if we look into January's tough, we know, obviously, but
Doug, are you all
What's it
right with
called?
something later in January?
Yeah, weather dependent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if you've been, well, Terry has brought a group out to the new county park, what we still call the Donguanella Trails, but that has.
Did
that's
they ever
interesting.
rename it?
They gave us some dumb name. I don't know what it is.
Oh, is it like Delco Woods or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, but there's,
Some name.
there's ruins in there. There's a lot, we've done a history hike there where there are ruins. There was an old, several old whetstone factories. Whetstones are what you sharpen knives and tools with. There are ruins in there. There was the, tannery was back there. A, anti-aircraft battery was back in those woods. It's not there
Cool.
anymore. But there's a lot of good stories in those woods, so it makes for a good hike.
Well, the Crack might be a good place to do the trail that combines with a meeting, because we could schedule one of the meeting rooms as well, and it's right there.
Right.
Whereas at Donguanella, there's nothing really.
And in
I agree
January,
with that. That's a good idea.
and the annual trail summit is
February.
generally in
Is
January.
it January? Why do I think it's February? Hold on. I can look
So,
it up real quick.
Well, I
while
don't
we're
know if you
talking.
could marry it up with that
I
trail
guess I would
summit.
prefer to meet somewhere in Marple or Newtown rather than meet in Havertown.
Yeah,
Work. Oh, you want to say sometime like mid-January?
Well, I'm just trying to find what that exact date is of the trail summit,
Okay.
because I forget from years past. So give me 1 second. I'll at least find the previous years and that'll give us. February 3rd. Yeah, I could have swore it's like usually the first point of February. That was. Tenth last year, and it was the third the year before. So it's probably the first Friday, depending, or no, I guess not, because the 10th, that's plenty. All right, so then the question is, do we want to schedule it at the Trail Summit when there's a lot of other things going on, or no? Okay, so,
Maybe before.
all right, so let's just plan then like mid-January, maybe like let me get back on my calendar.
Do we do a Saturday? Like would generally,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, generally a Saturday, so the 10th to the 17th. Schedule it for the warmest possible part of the day in the afternoon. We got as much sun as we can get, hopefully, right? So post lunch,
I prefer the 17th if
that's,
the same to everybody else.
I'm fine with that.
There's just plenty of time to get the word out. And like you said, at the other meetings, we can, I think the other trail walks, we can talk it up as
The
well.
creek or the crick?
correct. CREC, the Community Recreation and Environmental
Got it.
Center.
Is that Havertown or Haverford?
Haverford.
Haverford?
Township's Haverford.
Yeah, Haverford. Okay, got it. All right, that works. We put that in as a tentative date. So we're kind of jumping around, like we said, but it was agenda item. So kind of go to 8.1. We've got that. We've got Skunk Hall on the 15th, December 6th at Grange. Unknown right now in January for when Garrett Williams is going to be, but we can, Gary's good at communicating that, put it on the meetup group. So once that's locked in, and then the plan is for Garrett Williamson to have a hike that the public is open to every month. And it's going to be publicized through that meetup group. There is going to be a limit, I think, to the number of people, but it's going to be stated on there just like Terry does every time. So, and then we've got now the 17th for the CREC in Haverford Township. And we're going to try to use these other opportunities here to tell as many people ahead of time about this one. The earlier Terry gets it out on there, the better. And that way she'll already get some stir, but we can actually face to face with everybody else in the next ones. So that works. Doug, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'd like to.
And for the stories too. We'll have to, after when we're not being recorded, we'll have to get you to tell us more about John.
Sorry. Okay, well, it was good to see all my old friends here and new friends. So,
Thank
yeah,
you, Doug.
just be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Doug. We'll talk soon.
All right, so kind of going forwards and backwards, we got to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from our October 7th meeting? Seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, motion passes. On to 7.1, so the Garrett Williamson Fall Fest recap. We had a very low turnout on the trails. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know exactly why this year. There is a lot going on. Like the Fall Fest, there's tons of things going on. We only had one family that joined us. So there was 7 of us, but 4 were all volunteers. So me, Beth's son, Garrett was actually one of them. Terry's husband and her daughter Alex. So it was actually 5 of them of the 8. And there was a family of 3, a father, a mother and a son. And it was really good. And we did get to spend a lot of time with them. It was nice. Obviously the weather was great, but we just didn't have anything. The second hike, nobody showed up. So we just ended up canceling, unfortunately. So kind of disappointing there, but the Fall Fest, it sounds like, was a great success as it usually is. Weather was great. John was
Yeah.
there, Mannins as well.
Yeah, I was doing the CRC table the whole day and it was good. I mean, it was a good turnout generally.
I tried to flag you down at one point because you're having your bright jacket. I spotted you a mile away, but it was a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, so I think, usually people whenever we have the bird walks at Garrett Williamson, like everybody's trying to go to Garrett Williamson. So now they're having the monthly one. We are hoping to drive more traffic to
So
it.
I was at the first one on November 1st. We had 50 people.
The bird one.
No, they had a geologist.
Oh,
Come
cool.
talk. So he talked a little bit about the geology of the area, and then we went through the farm and down into the woods. Terry kind of led the part through the woods. It was more just the stroll, but the guy that was with his family on the Harvest Fest walk.
He was there too?
He was there
Oh,
too,
cool.
and I talked to multiple people about trails and greenways and that during that walk. So hopefully we'll see some of them coming back at least to the Garrett Williamson walks, and hopefully we have representatives there. But yeah, there were about 50 people, so it was a good crowd.
That's good. After the walk, I hung out a lot more and I was talking to some other people, some Garrett Williamson volunteers and some other people in general, trying to spread the word just because we didn't get as much at the actual hike. But it's always nice going in there.
And the weather was nice that day. I mean.
It was really nice.
It was a nice day.
Well, last year was brutally hot, I remember. The year before that, I think is when it was drenched, it was rained out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did that one.
yeah. Okay, all right. So we'll make sure that those Garrett Williamson, when those dates come available, that we do our best to promote them and get as many people there and try to spread the word, Trails of Greenways and what the township's doing. I've been trying to tell everybody about the latest stuff with the strategic plan, sir, right, that they've been doing, the one where we had the meeting a couple months ago. And because there was all the stuff about the official town map in there, which obviously this group contributed heavily to. So try to kind of let people know the township is making progress on these things, even though it seems slow. These are important steps that are happening that are going to help these Trails and Greenways initiatives. All right, so going back into 8, we already talked about the trail walks, possible action there. The only other item I had on there for new business was just kind of confirming the stuff that we had talked about last month, because we have to make sure that if there is any additional requests, all the numbers for the stuff that we're asking for this year are very small. Banner, it sounds like it's already going to be handled. You guys have a great idea about the tablecloth banner version. I like that. It's easier to use. You could set it up anywhere, so it sounds like that's already been really handled. The business cards thing was a very low number, right? And you were kind of gonna get a quote or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to get the trail sign that we're gonna talk about, but not the cards.
Okay, I can just pass
Is
it
this
around.
the same as the one you
They're
had?
very blue. I think my printer was running out of yellow, so pretend it's green. Okay.
Is
There's
this the
three.
same one that you had circulated?
Yeah, but
before?
remember last time, like the graphics were messed up, it didn't show up.
Oh, right.
on
I could
screen.
see it on my screen, but you're right. I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
see it up there.
So, yeah, I made some tweaks to one of the designs, but there's three design ideas.
Okay.
Whichever one you guys like, or we can modify them. And like you said, the cost is.
The cost is nothing.
Yeah.
Great. And then the other one was the trail maps, which the last meeting, I think you had reached back out. We had gotten a quote, but there was some weird caveat in there you were trying to confirm or something?
So we have the map that they're making of the Meadow Preserve for
Yeah.
signage. So we, that's in the process. We already.
The
have
only other
design.
one was the trifold.
Yeah, but we were talking about, actually getting those signs made.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I looked at, or I contacted Paneer, who I had contacted, over a year ago, just to double check if prices changed, and they did fluctuate a little bit. So, you guys all got an email today. I also have a printout if you need it. Basically, there are the signs that you typically see like in national parks or other parks. They're the waysides with you have the metal frames that come down to the ground. They're kind of fancier. And because they're fancier, they are definitely more pricey than the option that George has been using, which is the road signs. So, 36 by 24 panel, the 24 by 36 panel from Paneer is running $375. That's going to be a fiberglass panel, and then you still have to get a base for it, which is going to add potentially 500 to 700 more to it. So they are pricey. The other option, I went through one of the companies that George had recommended that the township's been using, and a 24 by 36 road sign, so a metal sign that would still need some type of frame built around it and stuff like that, is running about $12 per square foot. So that would run us about $72. I know the fiberglass signs can hold up with the weather and stuff like that. Obviously, the street signs can too, because they're used for street signs. So I don't really have a good reason to say like, oh, go with Paneer. Besides just, that's what I'm used to seeing in parks, and it's my own bias rather than like, is this more practical? So we could definitely get away with cheaper signs going through the metal sign thing, and then work on getting a frame and that type of thing.
The metal sign thing, I mean, we could make a frame out of simplistic pressure treated wood.
Yeah.
And use, pretty simple hardware to go through that. I've gotten a lot of custom metal signs made for like the hunting property I'm at.
Mhm.
Just to make sure like people know like there's hunting going on, like don't have your dog running around, that kind of stuff. And that's what I do usually. It's
Yeah.
pretty simplistic.
So if we wanted, we were talking about having the, like, you are here trail map.
Yeah.
In various locations through the meadow, because some of those trails are kind of like all zigzaggy. And those, we were talking about maybe the size of a sheet of paper, and their standard sizes are 12 by 12 or 12 by 18, which would be running 12 or 18 bucks a pop. And we're looking at maybe 7 of those, maybe 8. 24 by 36 would be more for the interpretive panels, the informational ones. So those would be 72, and I think we had proposed 5 of those. I did not do the total math. I can do that, but so it's not a horrible cost, and we can toss it out there, see what the township says. They may say, no, we can't do it all at once, but
I mean,
at least we can get started.
I kind of like the idea of testing out the metal street sign option, especially if they are that economic, because then that gives us an opportunity to go to all the other existing trails that we do have and getting more signs up. And again, like maybe even with the QR code thing in the future, it would be really nice if at the trailhead of every existing trail, there was one of these signs. Are cheap. You could put them on one post at that point, if it's that small, and you could have the QR code so that people, if they wanted to, could learn more about the initiatives in the township, what the township's doing, with everything, I mean, I kind of like trying that out, because like you said, you already know what the fiberglass signs are from your experience, but maybe this is something a little bit different that we could try, and if it's successful, because it's so cheap, it's easy to expand upon that.
And I don't know, I mean, George, you may be able to speak to the maintenance that the metal signs need. I know fiberglass, they need a coat of wax every once in a while to kind of, so they don't eventually, you know, the UV rays doesn't break them down. I'm assuming the street signs don't need much of anything besides maybe wash them off when occasionally.
And that's exactly it. I mean, every so often they'll need to get washed off. But that's pretty much it. I mean, they hold up against the rigors of being out on the road. And when they get to the point that they start to fade, then you replace it. That, you know, that's kind of the concept with it. And like you were saying, you know, this is a nice opportunity to finally get some of the signage that you've been working on and hoping to get out there. And then we can expand on that and we can upgrade at a later time to something a little more formal. But I think this is great to get it started out there. And it's not an unreasonable price to do that on the street sign option.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you found it. That's awesome. So this is good stuff. Okay, do we want to put to, like, actually make an action on this and approve this to go into the budget? Because Beth sent this in the email, so I can easily kind of cut and paste and grab the details with the cost and everything, add it to the stuff and the info, the business card one design, you have the cost for that too, and just add that all in one email to the township for the official budget report.
Yeah, I think the signs, we already have money in this year's budget for.
Great.
So I think it's really what you want for next
So
year.
that's more just we vote on it then here and say, yes, we are officially going to do this
Yeah.
and use the money from the
And
existing.
that I
budget. Great.
think I think that's in your next action item 9.1.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Great. Very much, Beth. So that's basically what we're going to do then.
Now, is the trail maps, is that something you're also handing out?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry,
That's a
before we move
question.
on, so real quick, Evan passed around the design there. Personally, I like design 3
I agree.
because I like a blank back,
Blank back.
because whenever you're meeting people, it's also useful if you got a pen, you kind of write details on, vice versa. Like, that's always an extra thing that I've always liked in the business sense when I have a blank back, you can easily write on. So we don't want the glossy back. You
Okay.
just get the regular matte back because the regular pens won't write on it.
Yeah.
And then the front can be that image, because you don't need much. It has everything and has the good image you found, has the township seal, the QR code. Pretty basic. I think not overcomplicated. That's my opinion.
Do you like the text that's there, or would you, like, scrap the text and just have the QR code?
I like the
I like the text.
text,
Okay.
but the other reason I wanted to go with 3 is you're not listing the meeting date and time,
Which
which
could
could
change.
change, and then you've got a pile of cards that are not relevant anymore.
That's the dilemma.
100% agree. Simple is better. I think so. I don't
Okay.
know. Does anybody else?
I agree.
Okay, so do we want to vote design 3? Okay, all those in favor of approving design 3 to use for the business cards that we're going to put in the budget request, say aye.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Do I hear a motion to vote and make an official opinion on which design we're to use for the business card to place in the budget? Moved,
Second.
seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, John, for keeping me on proceeding. I'm getting, like lazy. I
You were
apologize.
excited.
I was very excited.
Yeah.
Well, it is nice. I mean, I do a lot of sales work for my job, and having something simple like that, something tangible is nice. And if it also drives them to the documents, the website, it's great. So I'm glad we're
George,
making.
should I queue it up in like Vistaprint or whatever, and then send the link to you?
You know, I actually,
I'm sorry.
Just send us the artwork that you want over,
Okay.
and then we'll load it and order it through the township's piece. But we'll do that because it's gonna be in next year's budget. We'll tie it to next year's budget.
Okay, great.
Okay, sorry, now, sir, back to what you were saying with the trail maps thing. So at one point, we had talked about, Evan had brought up an idea of like making trifolds and stuff like that that are pretty common. And the hope was that we could have a better graphic. And what we had last discussed was Simone Collins, is working on it. We have horrible graphics now that we have access to of the existing trail map, I'll call it, that's on the old master plan and then open space network plan, right? So we were hoping was if they're going through that, was there any way to just piggyback off of the graphic they're doing, because they're gonna be generating one anyways that has all the up-to-date trails that are actually put in. The only real update from there, I think, was the addition of the sidewalk here on Ellis, right? It's the only new one, I believe, from the old open space network plan.
Maybe.
Yeah, but we're getting ready to do another
Great.
project, so I would suggest if we're looking for next year that we would just tie it in with that project when we
Sure.
get that done.
Even better. So the whole thought was, can we potentially piggyback off of the graphic they're gonna do for the report that they have to generate? And then eventually turn that into a nice trifold that you could essentially hand out to people. These are the trails in our township. This is where the physical trailheads are located. This is what they're called.
I'd
something like
rather
that.
that we do the graphics ourselves.
Okay.
That way we control it and we can update it on our own without having to have a consultant involved to do it every time we want to do an update. And
You do that.
If it's a TIFF file, though, we might be able to like edit it and that type of thing and stretch it and manipulate it how we need it. I don't know if they would provide a TIFF or something that could be manipulated in
I was thinking a
Photoshop.
CAD file we would update it in.
Okay,
It depends on what they're working in, right? So what software is Simone Collins, if they're doing that? Because we just don't have a good background other than Google Earth, right?
Well, George and I talked about that. So we're gonna get a background from Stan Tech.
Okay. Is Stantec the current township engineer?
No,
I was gonna say, I thought it was
Thank you.
Pinocchio. Well, because it has gone back and forth over the years. I know Stantec was at one point, so. Okay, that's even better. So if we can get a background, perfect. I have CAD, but I'm nowhere near as good as Evan, so if he's, I know he has it, but
Yeah, and I would turn all the CAD files over to the township.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. So right now, under the context of the budget discussion, is there, I don't think there's anything we can really put in the budget then for the trail maps right now until we further develop that plan, correct?
I mean, whether the map's developed or not, I mean, it doesn't matter what we're printing, it's just, what do we want to print it on? Do we know, do we want to do trifold maps, like?
So-
Quote for those and see what.
So what I like is a waterproof paper that you can go buy. And then you can print it on just about any printer. They're not perfect because they're not like laminated and they're not bedded, but I've done that in the past where I've actually, when I couldn't find a book or an actual trail map, I found ones online, printed it on this stuff. And it lasts pretty darn long, like it lasts really well. And then I've turned into my own trifolds that I stuff in my pocket when I go onto trail hikes and things, when I know I'm not gonna have cell service, when that stuff doesn't work. But it could be also used for this application. That's a really easy one. You just have to buy the paper and go to Kinko's and have them print it for you at that point. So that's like a simplistic idea for it.
Well, in terms of budget, is that what we want to budget for, which is,
Sure.
you know, what is that, a few bucks or, it's a very.
It's very minimal, yeah. Forget what it's called. It's Right in the Rain, I think it's called. Paper, let me see. Water resistant paper. It just depends on how many you're gonna buy. Paper is what I've done in the past. It's been very. I just literally buy it. You could put it through any printer. It's better if you buy the ink and do all the other crap, but it works just fine. For a handout, for something free that we would be giving out to people, it works just fine. There we go. Just looking up a price real quick. Yeah, it's $105 for a 500 pack. Cheap, start with there, get the background, it's all burn thing. Take it over to Kinko's when we're done and print it out. So the Kinko printing on stuff like that, when you're using your own paper, I don't even know, you probably do it from a home printer. I know it's a lot. That's the only difference, but I could actually take it at my job and do it there. I could run it through there just fine. Just saying.
That's not.
Not worried about that.
You might be breaking.
Yeah.
Why? What'd I do?
Be recorded.
We'll,
Oh,
we'll take care of the fun.
okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, so I'll throw a couple $100 in the budget request, bottom line.
Good.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to vote on this action of Evan kind of working on the graphic and us putting in a few $100s to be able to print out some trifolds so that next year we could be able to hand out these things at trail walks? I hear a
Moved.
motion. Seconded?
Second.
Moved by John Custer, seconded by Joe Sousa. All those in favor going forward with that, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. The motion passes. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so that's it. So we kind of already did 9.1 then. The only other real topic then is just an update. I have not seen anything, sir, Mr. Steve, from Desiree. She had responded initially, but I was assuming because of the elections and stuff that they were busy to get the 2 supervisors, remember? So
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what your thoughts are, if there was any chance of happening before the end of the year.
I suspect there'll be a meeting before the end of the year. I just need to figure out who's doing what right now.
Okay. Okay, so again, 9.3, number 3 on there with creating maps and things like that and the signs. I mean, hopefully 2026, that's one where we're talking about actual progress on that one being made. Number 4, we did do a few months ago, a meeting with the DeBatons, and Nicole DeBaton actually just reached out to me this past weekend and said that, hey, just FYI, we're interested and we're open to talking with you about it. So I do think we are going to have to schedule another groupthink session where we say, yeah, this is definitely it. This is what we'd like, and ask them what their timeline is. From the township, sir, the only thing that they requested is to see, do we have any sample agreements we could share of when the township has done trails on private property before, both where the township has said, no, this is like our property now, or in ways to relieve them of liability. So I'm thinking of the Lister Trail. Lister Trail is not owned by the township, but we have access to it. Is there any way we can get a redacted sample copy so that their lawyers can see the language? Because that's one of the things they were curious about, like, how do we protect ourselves from liability if we're going to open this up to the public and have these trails? That was the number one topic.
Are they tying it to the Four Seasons project?
There was multiple projects we had discussed, but the
Okay.
one was along,
Westchester Pike particular.
yeah,
Because there's a proposed trail through,
From
over by.
Boot Road down to
Yeah.
Route 3.
what was the other one? There was 2.
Ocean Road, we had an agreement.
What's the creek behind there?
Gradyville.
Hunters Run off of the backside of their property, yeah.
Yeah, so my recommendation would be, let's get the project, but then let's just tie it, if we're doing a land development, then let's tie it to the land development project so that we can have it recorded with the county and we can have the agreement recorded with the county at the same time.
They were concerned about liability issues.
Well,
and
but the
so-
liability, we can write the agreement, so their liability is almost next to nothing. Because there's a law in Pennsylvania that if you allow your land to be used for passive recreation, that your liability is basically nothing. I mean, it doesn't keep you from being sued,
No,
but
I
there's
talked to them about
protection.
that.
There's protection there. And Rich can work through that. So Rich can work with they use Don Petrosa most of the time as their attorney. Don and Rich work together well, I would just recommend that they just have that conversation. So we can just tie it to the land development. I'm not worried about the agreement. We can give them that protection. I think if we get it's more about understanding the metes and bounds, and all of that would happen at the same time.
When they do the development.
Or whenever they want to do that part of the piece, like if they're, I think I thought we were having a conversation with them about two areas. I thought we were having a conversation with them about Gradyville Road. And I thought we were having a conversation with them about, I'm going to call it the Marvel property or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And on both of those cases, we have two pieces of land development that are going through right now. If we could tie it to those when they do that, then we would be able to have the agreements actually part of the process of when they do the recording of the deeds and recording of all of that. They could do that all at the same time. And our recording of the land development plans with the county, it could all be done at the same time. And it would all be just really a good way to handle it.
Would that cause a delay, or are we working on these now? It might actually speed it up, I guess.
Both projects one project's already gone through, the planning commission is going to be between now and the end of the year. That's the pickleball one. So I would argue that you could have the
Yeah.
Marvel tied up by the end of the year.
That would be great.
And the, Village of Four Seasons project is going before planning this month. And my guess is it'll be before the board sometime in December or January. So I think you could look at, in the next 2 months or 3 months, have it all wrapped up if you work through that.
So we
And if you
already,
involve Rich as our solicitor, he will just make it a part of all those agreements, just like we did with Lissitor and just like we've done with other things.
so we've already made those recommendations for those trails when we did our original recommendation on the township. So
It's more of a matter of having it, the key will be having a surveyor go out and list out the actual metes and bounds of the area so that it can be a legal document.
okay,
And then we'll write the legal document in such a way that they're protected.
who does that survey?
That would be an engineer.
No, I know that. I mean, who pays for it? Is it the township or is it the DeBatons?
Well, I think we would ask for the developer to pay for it,
Okay.
but if not, then it would have to be the township.
But we would have to tell them. So one of the things that we have never had, because the plan has always been so loose, is we don't have a defined width of that trail or either of those trails that we were discussing anywhere. There's no conceptual drawings or plans that I've ever seen.
So Lissitor Trail is 10 feet. I would argue that that's a good place to start. I would tell you that if we get into some steep slopes as part of it, we probably need to expand that because in
Yes.
certain areas, we may need to do switchbacks and that may need to change what that looks like. We've got another trail we're working on that hopefully we'll be able to give you all some information on soon. If that happens, I think we're 10 feet and at one point we're 150 feet.
Based on the
Because-
steep slope, yep.
Because we
That
end
makes
up
sense.
getting into steep slopes. So it's those kind of things were, I just would say until we know where the trail is, it's kind of hard to. I think we can go to them. If Nicole wants to reach out to me, I can talk to her about her liability issues. We can get Rich to just have a short conversation with her. I'm not worried about the liability issues
Okay.
at all.
I know you're not. And I explained exactly what you did, but I just don't know the exact provision in the state law.
Well,
I
Rich
don't-
Rich usually
Yeah.
can rattle it off on the top of
Alright.
his head, but I won't make him do that, but he and I have talked about it here even recently, so
Okay.
I know that we can do that.
Well, then what I'm gonna do then is I'll take it as a good opportunity because she reached out to me asking questions. I'll reach back out to her and say, hey, listen, have yourself or your lawyer. You can reach out to Steve Neese and ask the question and he can connect with the lawyers. I do think what would be a great idea then is if she would be willing to allow us to walk it and define a rough area for the survey to hit.
Yep.
That's how I would do this if it was if I was the engineer, if I was the professional in this. I would say, well, let's walk it real quick. Let's just do a quick walk along where we're thinking the trail's gonna go. And then we can identify some of those steep slopes, and then we can give the surveyor a little bit wider net in some of those areas where we're concerned about it, and say, we want to basically get this swath 100 feet wide through this whole area along the creek. Get that as part of this, and see, and I think she'd be definitely willing to have the conversation, so let's start it.
Am I correct that she wants to keep it in the floodplain?
Well, their current development on both of the areas we were talking about are not in this zone because it's too close to the creeks. So we just, to Mr. Neese's point, we just have to identify if there are areas that are so steep near the creek where we would have to go beyond that. That would be a point of contention. If we had to go to a wide enough section where it actually affected their development, then that's a point of contention. That's why we need to walk it. We need to actually see it.
Mhm.
I mean, I've done enough of this stuff for a living and personally
Yeah.
for so long that I can easily go and look at a zone and understand how the slopes are, and then if we had to do a switchback, I know exactly how wide we're gonna be, so that's easy.
It's reasonably flat, so.
And that's great if it is, but I think it would be a good
But we
time
need to
to
do
spend
something more.
talking with her
Yeah.
as well. And
I would
we could
assume
have her
Marville's
development.
pretty flat. I just didn't know what Gradyville was. That was the area that I wasn't sure.
Well, and again, maybe we do what we can to focus the lowest hanging fruit, the best potential chance of getting one of them if we need to. If we need to focus on that, we
They're
try.
developing both
I-
spots, like we might as well try for
I-
both, and hopefully we get at least one of them, hopefully we get both,
I-
but like, we may not get another chance otherwise.
Okay,
Yeah, and now, correct me if I'm wrong, on the Four Seasons, we would be talking a trail down the creek, right?
Hunter's Run.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Good.
Right. I just didn't know how flat that was in that whole area.
That's a little bit treacherous.
That's why I said I didn't know
True
how
that.
much we really needed.
But they're not going to be able to build on that anyways, and their
No, they
current
won't.
plans don't show it. So if we had to do switchbacks there, it's less likely to be an issue.
Yeah.
So that's the
But
good
that
part
one
about it.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be able to be like ADA and stuff like that, so like,
No,
it's
Yeah.
probably not a paved trail, more of a dirt trail.
it's a primitive trail.
Yeah.
Make good time on it.
Railroad ties,
Mhm.
you know, coming down that hill for some of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's different things you can do for like water bars and steps and stuff like that. That would get into more the
Right.
design, and hopefully there would be, I don't know if that would be a trail that the township would have an engineer do, or if the township would do it themselves or what, but there are definitely, resources out there about how to deal with some of those steeper slopes
Well-
and switchbacks and
Well,
stuff like that.
once we have the agreements in place through the development thing, that also helps the township potentially go for grants to actually be able to fund it. And if you were to do that, because it was a big enough effort, you could roll in the engineering cost into the grant where the township engineer could even do it. But they could roll the cost up into the grant at that point. So if that's necessary because of the difficulty of a particular trail, that gives the township options, so once we get the agreement, because they can show they've already done the legwork of going through that usually very difficult process of getting the landowner to agree. So that would be great. Okay. Yeah, no, I was very happy she called. That was good. That was the first time she's reached out
Yeah.
to me on all this stuff.
So we're gonna set up a meeting with her, is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to her and say, hey, thank you for reaching out. Like, we'd like to do this, talk about it. And if you call Steve Neese, he can hook up the lawyers to show them the exact language and like how the Pennsylvania state law can protect them
Mhm.
from liability in that situation. But the first actual tangible step is we've got to walk the property to get the survey meets and bounds of this. Thank you for the guidance, sir. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, that's it. So if there's any additional business from the committee, number 10, does anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up today?
I'm gonna toss out one thing I had
Sure.
talked to you about, and
Oh, right.
so I'm working with a kiddo, I shouldn't say a kiddo, young man, who is trying to get his, Eagle Scout badge on making some signs for, Drexel Lodge Park. Awesome. He initially kind of was like, oh, let's do a lot of signs. And I talked him out of a lot of signs. Now we're just to a reasonable amount of signs, but he had more information that he wanted to put out there. So we're talking about possibly using Trails and Greenways page to connect where like, hey, you can scan this QR code, you could get more information about the flora, fauna, that type of stuff. And I was talking to Anthony that it would be nice to maybe go through all our trails that we have within the township. And I don't know if you may have grades and distances, but like do an official description of the trail and have that listed on the Trails and Greenways page, because I don't know that there is official descriptions of any of the trails we have. So, I mean, I could write up an example of that, but like for Goshen Trail, it may be talking about the different surfaces, is it, because you think it's going to be local people using it. So it's going to be people wanting to come out with their kid on a scooter or bike. So like, is it good for kids with training wheels? Is it stroller friendly? Is it dog friendly? Can you bring an e-bike on it? Like have that stuff listed, have a little description. So like,
Old guys with a cane.
yeah, so like Goshen Road is relatively flat, but we can talk about like, a hill here, a hill there. If
You
there's-
think about like any trail guide book you
Yeah.
buy, they'll have a rating, they'll have those type of quick bullets. They'll usually have the distance, and
Yeah.
in some cases they could, and this is great with your phone these days. You could go to the trailhead and pick the real quick Latin launch, and they could throw that on there. That way anybody could type that into Google Maps and it would tell them driving directions to get the trail,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And I
It's
mean,
easy.
a lot of times those books are for people that are traveling a distance to go there.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
thinking more local, that's why I was thinking like, okay, can a kid with training wheels go down this trail?
Yeah.
Like I would say definitely no to the meadows, but maybe to Goshen Trail, there may be some cracks here and there that may not be, so think about like how like when you have little kids, like
Yeah.
what you're using it for as an adult without kids, how you're using it, what are the things you'd be interested in as a local resident that would make get you out there? Is there any points of interest that would be something, like talking about the meadows? There's no defined path, so it would kind of be a range of how long that trail is, and know that there's a steep slope to get down into the meadows when you first start, and it's going to be mowed grass, so uneven surfaces. So, it could be great for trail running, but not so great for bringing a stroller, that type of description. So I think it would be nice if we can get something like that. If we go out on the trails, make sure we have the correct distances and kind of a format of how we want to write that up, and then eventually get it on the website. So at least there's something. And then when we get this map made, then we could pin those different trails on there. And when the kiddo does the thing for Drexel Lodge Park, we can link it to that page in the description of the trail, and it could kind of all work as a unified
Well,
information source.
If he uses the All Trails app, it'll record elevation, location data, and distance. You can make your own trail in there, actually. So we could actually have him be essentially our little kind of Voyager and going through and
So
and
start
hit
recording.
record, and then he could track it, and then he could come back and like organize all this for you. That
So
would be a good.
I know there's already a
visual.
trail map posted at the head of that trail there specifically, but I know what you're saying, like as an option. And I didn't know if the township.
For the other trails.
You made the trails, if there's official, like GIS data or anything like that for any of those trails or.
Yeah, there's not currently information like that on the other trails.
So it's just something for possibly not something that needs to be done next month, but like a bigger project that then we can start using to connect these pieces that we're starting to gather together and make the information about the trails more accessible and user friendly. And then we could tie it into some of the signage that's going out there. and
What is the
whatnot.
timeline in which this person wants to get their Eagle Scout badge, like that they would like to complete the project?
Last I knew, we were looking at spring for going up in front of the board of supervisors. He's got school and track and everything else going on too, so.
But this is something in theory, if we said, yeah, like this is good, go do this, you
Yeah.
could start doing that now and complete it well ahead of that. And then I'm assuming he has to do some sort of report presentation in front of, I've never
So
did
he-
the scout.
He's
so-
making interpretive signs.
Okay,
Like informational signs out there. So the us doing a description for the trail, I think I would keep that separate from
Okay.
this Eagle Scout.
okay.
Because
understood.
he already has a mission and I don't want to add something else onto that, like.
I
sometimes-
misinterpreted.
But-
His Eagle Scout project has to involving others. Like it can't be more of a research project. It has to be more of a project that he's actually leading other,
Gotcha.
hopefully other boys,
Yeah.
but maybe even adults to do the project.
Gotcha.
So he has to have so many hours of leadership in the process. So it needs to be a broad enough type of project, like if he's doing signs, he's having them help make the signs, help put the signs in, those kind of things. Where if he was just doing a walk around, it may not even count towards his Eagle Scout project the way they do it.
Gotcha. I've never been involved in this stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't do the scouts as a kid, so I think it's pretty cool though.
But maybe, we could, starting with Drexel Lodge would be an easy one since he's working on that. But, getting a list of all the trails that we do currently have in the township and being able to then, I don't know if it's one person that wants to do this or if everybody wants to here's your trail, go out and kind of walk it and give a description based on this formula and kind of go from
I
there.
mean, that's not a bad idea, why not? We could each, probably each person only have to do like 2.
Be that many, But yeah, it wouldn't be
There's
bad.
the Meadows, Lissitor, Goshen, Bishop Hollow,
That's all one per, maybe, not even. Ellis?
Ellis. Something at Drexel Lodge in the back there.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
That's 6.
Well, then there you go.
Nothing else, right? Good trails.
Existing.
Not like,
No, not that we.
Those are the 6 trails, yeah.
there
Okay.
you go.
Is there an official trail or anything? Oh my gosh, TD Bank on Winding Way, the park that you go a little past there where there was the pond. Is there a trail that walks the perimeter there, or is it just people tend to walk and there's not anything official?
Yeah, there's not an
Nothing
official
official.
trail,
Okay.
no.
At least not at this time.
Okay.
Long-term part of the park master plan,
that's
there would
not-
be a trail through there,
Yeah.
but right now there's.
Yeah, so again, something I can write up some examples or go out and do one and send it to you guys and we can kind of go from there, but.
Yeah, if you could do that, and then once you do that, we can all divvy up and each take a trail. John can supervise.
And I mean, you said last meeting that, if we submit something to the township, it's in-house as far as adding stuff to the website. So if we kind of here's the language, here's photos, whatever we want, it shouldn't be too big of a lift to do.
That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Thanks, guys.
I'll make George do it.
Yeah, one other thing, the Lissitor Trail, the extension. I think we ran into problems because they said we had to have a vote of the entire community in order to approve it.
Well, you didn't have to have the entire community vote, but the calculation of the amount of people included everyone, even people that didn't vote.
Yeah.
So that was the issue. It was like they basically said they'd never had everybody vote, and you have to have such a majority of the entire possible voters.
Okay, why don't we ask for a public presentation and then have everybody come in and listen to what we propose and what benefit it could have? That way you're gonna get everybody or close to everybody in, and those that don't come, they'll be talking to the other ones. I mean, that could possibly get this thing moved off dead center.
So, sir, doesn't, I know Leonard, he's posted about it in the past, doesn't he go and meet with the homeowners association over there every year?
Leonard meets with most of the homeowners associations every year, if they invite him.
Yeah.
And so, it would need to be something they would invite us to.
Yeah,
And if they invited us to that, we could do that, but they would have to invite us.
that's what I'm wondering is if he already has had such a good relationship or at least contact in the past, maybe he could help, say, hey, our Trails and Greenways Committee are interested in talking with your homeowners association.
Well, it's not
When's your
just-
next scheduled meeting or whatever? Do you think that we could be a part of that? And then we could prepare for it and we could do
I
it?
think the first step would be to meet with their board
Yes,
and,
Okay,
and
Yeah.
get their buy-in,
Mhm.
because if you don't have their buy-in, it's probably not going very far. So I think you need to get their buy-in first.
same step though, right? Same thing as
Well,
used.
we
he
can
knows-
reach out we can reach out to their HOA. I forget we have a contact. I have a couple contacts actually.
I mean, we can have a full presentation either over there or in the township building, with bells and whistles and charts and things.
Do they have, I'm assuming they have some sort of like a clubhouse or meeting space, right?
They have a beautiful clubhouse area over there.
I've never been.
It's, they have
But I
a,
think,
It's the old barn.
it's the old barn is just
Oh, that
absolutely
one.
great.
oh, yeah, okay.
it's
Oh, I'm
absolutely
familiar.
gorgeous.
Well, I think it would be a sign of good show or good faith if we went to them. Because it's their property, they'll keep them on their home turf so that they
Yeah,
feel a little bit more
That makes sense.
comfortable.
Mhm.
I think that would be good for us to kind of,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
guys are inviting us in and we're appreciative of it.
but the key is to get the good number of vote of the people, and we somehow have to contact the people and not just the association.
Is this the center or the, next neighborhood over that wanted the,
Thought it was Listener. Because they own that big, like, piece of essentially green space that separates.
do they?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
They do.
I just want to make sure I know what we're talking about.
yeah, it's,
Although,
I think what you're talking about is we had talked about at one point having a connection into Echo Valley.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
That I think is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page as everyone else. Thank you.
yeah, but I guess, yeah, so they have a homeowners association, Echo Valley too, or no?
I think
yes,
they have.
They do.
I think they have what they call the homeowners association, but I don't think it's a formal one like listeners.
Meaning it's not like an actual contractual deeded,
I don't know.
Mhm.
You live
Yeah,
over there.
we have parties, we have get-togethers.
You're
We
right.
did have more interaction. We
I was
had
gonna say, they actually had
meetings every
fun.
month.
They had fun. But is it like when the neighborhood was created?
Yes.
Is there public portions there that are owned by the rest of it and that are
No.
held in
No,
trust by?
it's-
Okay, so that's
it's not
good
a-
because otherwise we'd have to deal with two of them.
It's not a formal HOA.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
I didn't know how to quite word it, but thank you for letting me muddle through that. Okay, yeah, so Mr. Neese, if you could have us reach out to a contact, give us one, I'd be glad to do it. Or if you think it would be best coming from you or from Leonard.
I'm gonna have a conversation with a couple board members before we go forward, but I will go from there.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Okay, any other committee comments?
Have any progress with SAP in their trail?
We are reaching back out and starting over again. So they've had to change over at SAP,
Uh-oh.
so we're in the process of doing that right now.
Like a leadership changeover?
Yeah, a lot of the key people we had worked with in the past have retired and moved on or whatever, so we're having to kind of start the process over.
I guess the other question I have, where do we stand on the official map?
So we went towards planning, which was the first step. Planning has some questions. They've kind of kicked it back for us to do some more work on it, and then we'll bring it back to them and then go before the board.
Okay,
Any major issues that you know?
No, it mostly asks that we differentiate between properties that are township owned versus properties that are not township owned. And because like we had Garrett Williamson on there,
Yep.
we had some properties that were Aqua on there. So we want to go and take those and make it clear that they're not township owned.
Yep.
Even the municipal authority owned properties versus that. And then the question was, there was actually a couple that were on there that we may pull off. One of them being Baker's Lane Pump Station. I don't think there was any real value to having that on an official map. But other than that, I think everything else was going to stay on.
Great, thank you for the update.
We're hopefully going to get that done. It's got to go back to the engineer for him to redo the map. But I think it's a simple thing for him to do. And then we would take it back before planning and then back out. So my guess is it'll be early part of next year when we do all that, but we're working on it.
And then it's my understanding that once it's voted in and it's official, then in the future, you can identify other properties and put it on there.
Yeah, so the official map requires an ordinance to be done with it.
Yep.
So Rich is working on the ordinance. Not just, you can't just do the map.
Yeah.
And we're having to justify what we think those properties value, what we think the purpose of those properties would be, why the township would want those properties, and then go from there.
I mean, the ones that the township added after the fact, I didn't do, but all the ones that I had on the original map, I gave a reason. And then went
Yeah, but
back.
some of those reasons we can't use for an official map, so we have to make it, we have to go back through and make sure we have.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. Last chance. All right. Our member from the public left, so nothing on item 12. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Beth, second by Evan. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.